So we're starting off on the high-speed ring in the Manufacturer series. A lot happened throughout the race, but I'm still pleased on how it ended. Starting off in first place to begin the race. Let's go. So I had a good qualifying time. Throughout the whole race, I believe I was getting the fastest lap. The only problem with this circuit, honestly, that I had was the wall riding on the first corner. If I'm not mistaken, mostly everybody was doing it, but I didn't do it mostly because I really didn't know how to do it. I didn't want to waste time figuring it out, so I just didn't do it at all. But it did gain you a lot of time, actually. Like, it was very, very noticeable how much time you gained from that. And the problem is, you have to do it right. Like, if you don't do it right at all, you're not gonna gain any time at all. So it's really just pointless, just losing time. So I didn't want to risk it. But coming up in the first corner, as you can see, the BMW just wall riding and getting that boost. He's going for the inside, but I didn't see him, so I turned in and just ended up crashing. And luckily, the Porsche pushed me straight, and I just kept going. But you can see how much of a difference that makes. So just trying to figure out what to do, can't do much, honestly, especially when you're not in the toe of the vehicle in front of you. Luckily, he couldn't keep up, and look, caused a crash, ended someone's race just like that. But I had clean air behind me. There was no one behind me. I was, not too worried about that. I was just worried about keeping up with the first two. I didn't want to lose that slipstream. But here I do another mistake. I was going a little faster than I thought, and just drifted a little bit. I didn't lose too much time. So yeah, the goal here was just to be behind them and just get their slipstream, because the Porsche was just bump drafting the Viper. So there was no point of me trying to pass them on the straights. So it was just me trying to keep up. And I didn't want to stay right behind them, especially on this turn. I tried to avoid it as much, but it's kind of hard. Mostly because of the dirty air, I didn't want to get any of it. It just makes it really hard to turn around there. But you can see they hit the wall and I had to let go, so I didn't gain anything from that. But just coming up to the first corner again. And if I'm not mistaken, this is where I almost lose the whole race, honestly. And just like that, drifting the whole corner. And honestly, I'm surprised I saved it, because I drive with a wheel. I'm not on a controller, so I just had to yank all the way to the right and hope for the best. But as you can see, I lost a lot of time. And I gave enough time for these two behind me to catch up. The problem with this is that I don't have the slipstream, and for a track that has such a long straight, you're gonna need it. So I was kind of in a predicament here, honestly. But the Mustang didn't get close enough to pass me, actually. It just kept his distance, and as you can see, the Viper went into pit early. So my goal here was just to try to catch up to the Porsche and just draft them and be able to bump draft up and try to get ahead as much as we could. But the problem was, let's just point this camera to him. A lot of them were just riding the wall. This is a good example right here. That gives you so much boost. It's crazy, honestly. Like the amount of time that you can cut off just in that one corner is crazy. So in that one corner, I couldn't catch up. I was losing about 3/10, and I got close, but not close enough to make the move. But I was just trying to keep myself consistent and not risk it too much. The race is so early and a lot can happen. But just trying to stay consistent. As you can see, doing the fastest lap, and just trying to catch up. And really, most of the people was just wall riding, and it saved them a lot of time. And I just didn't want to do it. I didn't know how to do it, and I was just better off not doing it at all. But we can skip to one lap. Not much happened here either. And as you can see, I was getting a little closer, and the Mustang's still behind me. And incident happened with the Mustang. I believe he scraped the wall and got a little far behind. But now on the 8th lap, started thinking of the strategy I was gonna do. This is when I was close enough in the slipstream of the Porsche, but this is where he begins to wall ride. And you can just see how he just flies away. But honestly, it really didn't help him all the time. Actually, there were some times that it didn't help him at all. So he wasn't doing it correctly every single time. But I was still close enough. I'm within a second, I'd say. So, and especially this Porsche isn't really good in the straights at all. So it's really slow. But I was just thinking of the strategy. And after I saw the Porsche going, I decided to do another lap. And just kept going and pushed a little harder to try to get ahead. But not much happened either. Lapped in. Got into the pits, came out. And we're basically in the same position as before. So the Porsche already pitted. And the Viper behind me and the BMW already pitted. So basically in the same predicament that we were in at the beginning of the race. So right here I'd be in 4th. The BMW will be in 3rd, and the Viper in 2nd, and the Porsche in 1st, because all the other people didn't pit yet. So I try to stay on the inside of this Porsche, and I was very comfortable with these corners. I knew when I had to accelerate, so I was doing it a lot earlier than him. Got ahead of him, no problem, and didn't want to fight too much. I wanted to get the slipstream of the Viper at least try to be able to get ahead of him. As you can see, the BMW is right behind me. But not much is happening. he didn't bump draft me, if I'm not mistaken. So I knew he was gonna ride the wall coming up in this corner. So let's pan out to him. I'm gonna see. Oh no, he didn't. He didn't do it that time. I'm guessing he probably thought he was gonna do it wrong and lose time. As you can see, he was trying to go for that gap and close there as soon as I saw. And just try to keep it as consistent as possible. And he was slow around these two corners. It wasn't very agile around there. So I knew that was his weak point on the track. But still, overall, very fast race. And now here I started catching up to the slipstream of the Viper. And as you can see, I was losing the BMW a little bit, thanks to the slipstream of the Viper. But he's just gonna ride the wall and gain that time back. So it really didn't matter. I was just trying to keep it consistent, trying not to do too many mistakes. Here I try to stay as close as possible to that Viper, and he hit the wall, so he lost a lot of time. And didn't want to make a very, crazy move that, we could both lose a race or I'd lose a race, so I just, stayed behind them. Still had 2 laps to go. Just kept pushing. And this is where he did his mistake. Just slightly started grinding the wall and lost it basically. So now here's my what was going on in my head throughout this lap. I knew I wasn't gonna catch up to the Porsche. There was no point of trying at all, honestly. But I knew the danger of the BMW and the Viper were still behind me because they were still in the slipstream. So knowing that, just try to push as hard as I can. But I did a mistake there and hit the wall, so I pushed a little too hard and saw the BMW right behind me. So I knew he was gonna go for that move, so I went on the inside of the corner and defended. I didn't want him to go for that move. Went a little wide, and he tried to go on the inside, but he couldn't. It's way too slow. You'd have to take that corner wide to be able to get any speed coming out, and that's really important, especially coming out to this long straight. So the danger's still there, as you can see right there. And he was about 5/10 if I'm not mistaken, so I was just trying to not let him have the slipstream. And I was just moving side to side, nothing too crazy. I didn't want to lose time either, but as you can see, they're still catching up. But luckily he's still worried about that Viper, so he was losing a little bit of time thinking about that. But here I do another mistake. Take the corner completely wrong while he grinds the corner. He's right next to me, so I knew he was going to go on the outside. I tried to push him as much as I could and stayed on the inside. I didn't want him to close that gap right there. So I accelerated a little earlier and stayed on the outside. And I knew he was slow around this corner, so I accelerated completely. And I had the better exit. So here he hit me, and that little push caused me to gain a little bit of speed, thinking I could make it, but I couldn't. I hit the wall too, and the Viper hit him. So it all worked out, honestly, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. It was a good last lap, one of the best, honestly. But if it wasn't for that Viper, I definitely would have lost. As you can see, let's just go back a little bit. So, in the perspective of the BMW from the beginning of this corner. So, he rid the wall. He knew it was going to be an advantage for him. He knew I wasn't doing it at all, because I didn't know how to do it. So from him riding the wall and me messing up that corner, he had like the clear shot. And I was closing the inside line. I didn't want him to take that, because I knew that was a guarantee pass right there. But I was still on his inside. And he gave me enough space. We had a little contact there, but nothing too crazy. I gave him space, but it wasn't enough for him, and you know, he wasn't doing so good around those corners. So that hit caused him to hit me. I threw my car early thinking it was gonna help, but it didn't at all. Hit the wall, but the Viper hit him. And it worked out. If the Viper would have never hit him, I promise you I would have never been second. I probably would have been fifth. But it worked out. It was a very good race. A lot of action, you know, mistakes on my end, but you know, we learn from each race. And honestly, the outcome would have been way different if Grandturismo would have fixed the wall riding, but you know, it was just last minute things, and you know, it's really hard. I'm guessing it's really hard to update it at the end. Like, I'd say what, less than 24 hours of the beginning of a race. So it worked out. It was still a good race. I enjoyed it a lot, and you know, I'm glad they kept it clean. Not a lot of people would do that, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.